Welcome back to MagicGatheringStrat. Today we are going to do a Pauper Walkthrough, and we're going to do it on the Delver Blue deck. We have especially chosen the variant of Delver Blue played by Mezzel. Mezzel was the winningest player in 2011, and he was one of the top players in 2012 in Pauper on Magic Online. And he has a very different take on Delver Blue, and that's the deck we're going to go through. So the way this works is that we go through the deck card for card, discuss a bit of strategy, and then I go through the sideboard and explain to you how I would sideboard against different decks in the meta. I think the meta is worse for Delver now. It's better for Mezzel Delver than for ordinary Delver, but losing Storm was a big blow to Delver, because Storm was Delver's best matchup. And most Delver players would say that Infect was a very good matchup as well. Cloudpost is a problem matchup, Stompy is a problem matchup, and you don't particularly like the Temporal Fissure decks either. If you want to contact me, use the comments below, or contact me on Twitter. Please ask any questions about Delver in the comments as well. I'll be happy to discuss it. How many Delvers do I have? I have plenty of Delvers. I think Delver Seekers will be a valuable card in like X years, and they are still quite cheap. So anyway, here's the deck. The land base first. Most Delver decks play 16 lands or 17 lands, and I have done the math, and I know that the amount of mulligans you have to take if you play 16 lands is crazy. You just can't play 16 lands in Pauper, and I see people 4-0ing all the time with 16 lands, but it doesn't work for me. I will be mulliganing to death, and that's one of the things that draw me to Mezzel's Delver, because he's playing 19 lands and 2 of them are quicksands. And quicksand is a great tool in the Delver mirror to prevent the ninja from hitting you, and getting a ninja on the table and hitting people is one of the things you do. 17 islands, very good. So regarding the creatures, this deck has been around forever, but the thing that brought it to the top, or perhaps back to the top from being just a fairies deck, was Delver Secrets. This guy is amazing. I have 20 instants to support him, and that means that he flips 1/3 of the time if I didn't have Brainstorm. So Brainstorm is in this deck mainly to just flip Delver. Getting a Delver down and hitting for 3 each turn, that's the clock. This is an aggro control deck, so we want to control the game just for so long, so that we can win. We want to win with a fast clock, and this is what makes it such a good deck against Storm, because we can not only disrupt Storm, but we can put them under clock. So getting a Delver or an active ninja is most often our clock. We support the Delver with another 1-drop. 2 Phantasmal Bears are still in the deck. Many people drop these. We play them because they hit for 2. On turn 1 they are very good for getting a ninja in action, and yeah, they're just awesome creatures, but they were also one of the main cards against Storm. So if there is a creature that goes out of the deck, I think it's Phantasmal Bear. There are many candidates such as Frostburn Weird and Cloudfin Raptors, but Mezzel has selected not to play any of them. I would like to experiment with 2 Cloudfin Raptors here, but I think it is probably the wrong thing to do, because that would slow down the deck, and Cloudfin Raptor is a terrible top deck in the middle of the game. Okay, we have the Fairy Suite, we have Cloud of Fairies. I expect Cloud of Fairies to be banned, now that they have started banning Pauper cards again. Cloud of Fairies is the engine of the Temporal Fissure decks, and this deck plays Cloud of Fairies in an honest way, just as a 1/1 flyer and as support for Spellstutter Sprite, but I expect Cloud of Fairies to be banned. This is an excellent card. I often forget to cycle them. That's one of the reasons I need to play more Delver. Of course, I need to learn that. If you have no use for 1/1, you should cycle your Cloud of Fairies. I often play them anyway. But they are there for Spell Status Sprite. Spell Status Sprite is amazing in aggro control because he counters stuff, kills their tempo, and provides yet another attacker with evasion. I've done several videos with this deck, and I'll include some in the show notes. You'll find others in the channel. So please have a look at the matches I played with the deck. So, one difference between our deck and other Delver decks are that we play through card draw. But most, I'll come back to that, because most Delver decks just play Ninja of the Deep Hours, because he's so good. It's also, if you can get down a Ninja and then he starts to fuel your counter spells by hitting, you are winning, and you are very, very hard to deal with. So get the Ninja down, preferably with protections. You can hit twice with him, but if you can hit only once with a Ninja, it's good enough. Alright. Spy Golem. Spy Golem proves to be a very, very hard card to deal with. A 2/4 is remarkably resilient in Pauper. It's very hard to deal with 2/4s, and it can come down on turn 3, but ideally on turn 4 with counterspell backup, and it just stops a lot of things from attacking you, and it also beats down pretty well. And it's the one card in your deck that can actually deal with Muldrifters. Muldrifter is your arch enemy. He fuels the control decks so that they can destroy your guys, and he also blocks everything in your deck except Spy Golem. So that's why we're playing 3 Spy Golems. And yeah, there is a creature in our sideboard. We have Stitched Drake in our sideboard. It's like a Spy Golem pretty much, but it does more damage, and it is a better clock against aggressive decks, so we will sideboard it in against aggressive decks. But I'll return to Spy Golem when we come to the sideboard. So what about the cards in the deck? Delver Mezzel do not play Ponder and Preordain. I think Ponder and Preordain are mistakes, because they are sorceries. You play them in your main phase, and that means you can't counterspell, and you have to keep up the control part of the aggro control thing. So Pondering and Preordain, and when I play, especially when I play blue-black Trinket control against Delver, which is a pretty good matchup, I'm just so happy when the Delver deck goes turn 1 Ponder or turn 1 Preordain instead of turn 1 Phantasmal Bear or turn 1 Delver, because there's no clock. So this deck do not play Ponder Preordain. We play Brainstorm instead. The effect is about the same. Brainstorm is a little worse, as there's no way to filter away the cards, but it's perfect for setting up the Delver. So you play turn 1 Delver, and then in your upkeep in turn 2 you do the Brainstorm, and then you put an instant at the top of your deck, and the Delver flips and starts hitting. So that's the whole idea with playing Brainstorms. It's a lot more expensive than Ponder or Preordain. So if you're on a tight budget, I suggest just replacing it with Ponder or Preordain, depending on your taste. That's a debate that is going to last forever. So, what more in the deck? We have elected not to play Days. There's somewhat of a funny story there. Mezzel sold his Daisies for some financial reason, and then he put in Piracy Charms instead, and he found that the deck worked even better. And I think Days was mainly an anti-storm card, so it's not playing Days anymore. And when I play blue-black Trinket control against this deck, I'm happy not to see Days, because Days screws things up. But there's no Days in this deck, and if you should put in a Days, you should replace Piracy Charm. Piracy Charm is great against aggro. There are a huge number of creatures with 1 toughness, and the charm just kills them. Some removal is nice. and it does a poor mind rot impression if you can't find anything to remove. And remember, you can use Paris Charm in the draw phase to actually make the opponent discard the card that he's drawing, which is pretty evil. I could say main deck dispels here as well, but yeah. Okay, what else is in the deck? We want to draw cards and we want to counter stuff. But we also want to bounce stuff. So our main way of controlling, our main way of protecting our ninjas, protecting our other creatures, and removing blockers is Snap. Because it's a free creature removal. It's a free bounce spell. So we play Snap above Pauper Chat on Summon, because we can untap the lands and be ready to counter. So there are 4 snaps in the deck. 4 counter spells. We also play 2 Exclude, and Exclude is devastating against control because we get to draw cards. So countering a Muldrifter with Exclude, it's party. It's hard to get 3 mana open to counter with Exclude, but it's so good. There used to be 2 Ona's Graces in this deck, and Mezzel removed one because they're very slow. But they're great against control, and it means that you don't have to play any more lands. Every land you draw becomes another card, and that's quite powerful. So we like our Ona's Grace, but we're down to 1. And we play 2 Gushes. I still have to figure out when to gush, as you can probably see in the Delver match I will post today, when I play against blue-black Trinket control. So that's the main deck, right? 60 cards. Of course there will be a deck list in the show notes. So let's go to the sideboard. We replaced Echoing Truth with Boomerangs, and Boomerang is strangely useful in the current meta. I'll get back to that. Dispel is sideboarded in a lot, most often against any control deck. We are replacing the Piracy Charms with Dispels, and they are great for countering stuff. Hydroblast makes many matchups against red very winnable. It's a very powerful card. You probably can figure out what Steel Sabotages are there for. And then we have Stitch Drakes against aggro. So let's go through the sideboard matches. Yes. Okay. First, Izzet Post. There are Cloud Post everywhere, and this goes for Demir Post as well. But blue-red Cloud Post decks, if they get their post out early, it's very, very difficult to play against them. But if we get the ninja down early, they are dead. So the sideboard plan is we bring in 3 Dispels and 4 Hydroblasts to protect our creatures. We take out 3 Piracy Charms and 4 Snaps, because we don't want to snap their Muldrifters, and a good Izzet Post deck don't play any other creature but Muldrifter and perhaps Mnemonic Wall, and you don't want to snap that. There is an alternative sideboard plan that I see some other Delver decks use that I think is very good, and that's playing 4 Curse of the Bloody Tome. Mezzel has elected not to do so, and I respect his decision. He knows a lot more about this deck than I do. But 4 Curse of the Bloody Tome is really fun. Don't do that against blue-black Trinket control though, so because it happens all the time that Delver sideboard in that against me when I play blue-black Trinket control. And that's just funny because I will be able to kill them before they mill me out. But Cloud Post has a hard time killing anyone. So when you play against Cloud Post, the way to attack Cloud Post, with most decks actually, is to prevent them from winning, because they have very little ways to win. So other Affinity. Affinity is a pretty good matchup. You just need to control their 4/4s. But Affinity is a weird deck to play against because it can win against any deck. But you have quite the opportunity to disrupt them. And what you do is that you bring in 3 Steel Sabotage and 4 Hydroblast, because they will bring in Pyroblast, as Pyroblast hits anything in your deck and you need to counter that. You can also deal with Galvanic Blasts and Atogs with your Hydroblasts, so please bring in them. You take out 2 Phantasmal Bears, you take out 3 Piracy Charms, you take out your Ona's Grace because it's just too slow, and you take out 1 Gush because that is also too slow. And the reason you take out Phantasmal Bear is that he is just dominated by all the 4/4s. So you need your evasion guys. Yes. Burn. The red burn deck that you can see in Pauper Walkthroughs episode 2. Well, you bring in 4 Hydroblasts, for obvious reason, because that deck is mono red. You also bring in 3 Dispels, and you take out 3 Piracy Charms and 4 Snaps. And you will find that after sideboarding, the matchup is extremely easy to win for Delver. Delver is probably, next to Soul Sisters, the worst matchup for Burn. So yeah, that's a lot of fun. Regarding the Delver Mirror, it depends a lot on what they are actually playing, their exact build. Are they playing Mezzel Delver? Are they playing normal Delver? Are they playing some other variant? And how close are they to mono blue control? So that's a feel thing, and I won't go into depth about that. If you run into elves, don't sideboard. If you run into Familiar Storm, you are up for interesting problems, and you will solve them with Boomerang. Boomerang is your key card here, and you will boomerang their Karoo lands, the double mana lands that Familiar Storm depends on. So you bring in 3 Boomerangs, you bring in 3 Dispel, take out 3 Piracy Charms, 2 Snaps, and 1 Ona's Grace, and you're off. And after sideboarding, it becomes an even matchup, I think. I tested it way too little. If there is ever an Infect deck, it's now a very good matchup for you. When I played Infect a lot, I had 3/4-0s with Infect in the dailies. I thought Delver was actually a very good matchup, but I had special sideboard against Delver. But now, without Invigorate, it's a crap matchup for Infect. And what you do as the Delver player is that you bring in 3 Dispel and 2 Boomerangs, take out 2 Phantasmal Bears, because they are just dead to anything. You take out 2 Gushes and 1 Ona's Grace, because they are too slow. Alright, the next matchup is Mono Black Control. Playing Mono Black Control, take in 3 Dispels and 2 Stitch Drakes, because you need to overload their removal. Take out 3 Piracy Charms and take out 2 Snaps. You keep in 2 Snaps as protection for your ninjas, basically. What else? Against Slivers, I take out Phantasmal Bears and bring in Stitch Drakes. Against the Hexproof deck, I take out in 3 Boomerangs to bounce Ethereal Armor, mainly, and take out 3 Piracy Charms. Against Stompy, this is such a traumatic matchup, because it's very much 50-50, but the Stompy player has good sideboard options. So if you're playing Stompy and bring in 4 Scattershot Archers and 3 Viridian Longbows, Delver has a very hard time surviving, unless Delver play Frostburn Weirds. But what Mezzel Delver does against Stompy is that we take 2 Stitch Drakes. Maybe I should just show you this list. Against Stompy, 2 Stitch Drakes, 1 Boomerang, take out 2 Phantasmal Bears, because they just die to any growth spell, and the Ona's Grace. Against Trinket Control, we take in 3 Steel Sabotage, because there's a lot of artifacts in Trinket Control, and we take out 3 Piracy Charms. Against the Ninja Teachings, there's just bring in 3 Dispels, take out 3 Piracy Charms. And that is the way to sideboard against most random control decks. Bring in the Dispels, take out the Piracy Charms. Against the blue-green Temporal Fissure decks, we bring in Dispels, take out Piracy Charms. If they are building up, if they are the Overgrowth deck with playing a lot of lands on their playing a lot of enchantments on their lands, we bring in Boomerangs, of course, because that will mess them up quite good. So I think this sideboard is very well thought through. I think this deck has a very good position for a top deck, because even if Delver lost its good matchups, it's still an extremely powerful deck, and it just has these god draws where you can't stop it. You can't do anything to this deck with the right draw, and you just get random wins because you could play an early ninja and protect it, and then there's just no way of keeping up to this deck. Thank you for watching Pauper Walkthroughs episode 3. Please ask me questions in the comments below, and let me know what deck you want to see me do a walkthrough of. I like to be very familiar with the deck to do a walkthrough, and I like to talk to if I don't have results with the deck in a daily, I like to talk to someone who does and have them explain the sideboard things. So these sideboard options come straight from Mezzel, who has a lot of experience with the deck, and not directly from me. Thank you for watching Pauper Walkthroughs episode 3. Oh, I already said that. Here's my contact info. Please subscribe and like and use YouTube stuff.